So at Standing Rock, water protectors have been out there trying to make sure the Dakota Access pipeline does not drill past the Missouri River and Lake Oahe for a long, long time. And when they first got out there, of course, a lot of folks thought that they had no chance. And I'm sure that a lot of people thought, why bother? You guys have no power. How in the world do you think you can possibly win? This pipeline costs $3.8 billion. Energy Transfer Partners is the main company that's running this. Dakota Access Pipeline is their subsidiary, and they've put so much money into this, and it appears that they have the whole government behind them. And when they built an encampment and more protesters started to show up, more water protectors, well, people thought, well, that's cute, but look, I was going to say military, that's a funny Freudian slip. The police came in heavily militarized with their Humvees that looked like tanks, and they lined up. And at different times, they launched tear gas canisters, which, by the way, started fires. They did water cannons in sub-freezing temperatures. There was a woman who nearly lost an arm, and there were rubber bullets, and all these different things that the police did. And they thought, what chance do you have, water protectors? Why don't you just wrap it up already? But then something curious started to happen. We had, all of a sudden, tribes from a lot of different parts of the country start to come support their brothers at Standing Rock. And then we had environmentalists come and start to support them. And then slowly, the independent media came. And so, of course, the greatest credit goes to the people who've been out there from day one. In terms of independent media, our job is to at least shine a light where the corporate media chooses not to participate. They don't find it an interesting narrative. They think there's not a lot of money to be made. They might, in fact, cost the corporate world some money, so they have no interest. They were never going to show up. Unless, of course, the light that independent media put on there got to be a little brighter, and all of a sudden they thought, well, there might be a profit in this. Now, at this late juncture, some of them have barely begun to show up. Now, Amy Goodman was there from Democracy Now! A lot of smaller independent outlets were there getting incredibly valuable footage that we at TYT have used as well in conjunction with them. Some drone footage that was so valuable. So many good journalists out there. Just because they don't have CNN or New York Times affixed to their name doesn't mean that they're not great journalists. In fact, I think it means they're better journalists. And then Jordan Chatton from TYT came there. I say then, but it was actually very early on. And he went back 5 different times, and he kept going back. In the middle of the election, not in the middle really, actually, middle of the final run-up, the last 2 weeks, Jordan calls me and says, I don't think I should be on the campaign trail. I think that I should be at Standing Rock. I was like, really? This election is a bit momentous, and there's a lot of things going on. Now, we don't have a lot of resources here at TYT, so we split up the team. Jordan and his producer, Eric Byler, we said, okay, Eric, you go cover Trump. We put Michael Schur on it. Jordan, go get him, okay? Go to Standing Rock. We're not like the corporate media. We think that story is incredibly important, yes, even right before this momentous election. So we were there, and we showed you so much of that footage. Even last Friday, Jordan put together footage, again, from great other journalists that are there, that are independent, working there. One got the North Dakota governor and the head of the state, a police official there, who said, oh, no, we were firing the water cannons at the fires that the water protectors started, not at the people. And then we got other footage that Jordan narrated over that showed, no, quite the opposite. There were no fires. They were firing it directly at the protesters. And then their tear gas canisters from the police are what started the fires in the first place, and we have it on tape. See, because we bothered to show up. So now, because of a campaign we put together with you guys that we started over the weekend, if you don't know about it, we're going to be there at least through Inauguration Day, and we're going to double down. More cameras, more reporters, more producers, more editors, because you allowed us to do that. So that campaign's on tytnetwork.com/go. If you want to participate, great. It gives us strength and allows us to cover it from every angle, and it allows us to bring in new reporters. Jordan's been out there for a long, long time, and he needs backup. He needs cavalry to the cavalry. Now, the last part of the story is happened recently. We had 2,000 veterans that decided they were going to go and support the water protectors. And they were led by two guys, Wes Clark, who is Young Turks host, and Michael Wood. And Michael Wood's the cop that I always tell you guys, former Baltimore cop. I interviewed him on TYT Interviews, part of Wolfpack. And they're both veterans. In fact, Wes's nickname on the Young Turks is the Cavalry. So they decided, why not do it literally? So they organized 2,000 veterans. They raised an incredible amount of money, and they got out there. And all of a sudden, a lot of the police that were supporting the North Dakota police from other states started to melt away. And then the state police decided in North Dakota that they are not going to block the roads. So there was no showdown with the veterans as they were coming, because some thought that might happen. No, they let the veterans in. And then over the weekend, President Obama announced there will be no easement. They are not allowed to drill on his watch. In fact, he called for, and the Army Corps of Engineers called for specifically, an environmental impact statement. Now, that is what they're supposed to do by the law. In fact, Standing Rock Sioux Nation was right all along. There was no environmental impact statement, and by law, there needed to be one. Now, if Trump comes in and tries to cancel that, well, he would be in violation of the law. Now, maybe he wants to do that anyway. That's up to him. But for the moment being, there is no drilling allowed, according to the government. And an extra wrinkle to this is that if by January 1st they are not drilling, they have to renegotiate a lot of their contracts. Now, they made these contracts when oil was very expensive. Now it costs less. A lot of the other people that they have contracts with might not want to do those contracts again. So it is possible. Not over yet, and we don't know how it's going to play out. And obviously their contracts, they're going to renegotiate in private. But it is possible that if they cannot renegotiate those contracts after the deadline runs out on January 1st and they don't have the pipeline completed, that pipeline does not get built. Now, who did that? Those activists, those Native American water protectors who no one gave a chance to. They said, oh, go home, sit down, sit on your couch. Don't take any action. You'll never win. They thought, well, that's what you think. We think we might. Never give up hope. The thing that the establishment wants you to do is make sure that you take no action. They love indifference. It's their favorite thing in the world. When you take action, it leads to results like this. So this is right in the beginning. It's before Trump even takes office. I'm telling you now, tip of the iceberg. We are going to have so much action during the Trump administration, and they are going to be shocked at what we can accomplish when we unite together. So whether it's Native Americans or veterans or just people who care, environmentalists, whatever the issue might be, that says, you know what, we're tired of the multinational corporations steamrolling us. Now, ironically, Trump ran on a campaign of, I'm not going to let those global interests, steamroll Americans, the average American. And that is exactly what he's promising to do right now in this Standing Rock situation when he gets into office. But if enough of us stand together, it turns out we can make a difference. And the guy did a video over the weekend saying, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? The reason I say that is because you gotta trust me that if you get out there and act, you'd be amazed at what you could accomplish. I think we got a whole amendment to get out and get done there and get money out of politics. I think we're gonna change this entire system. But Standing Rock was where it began. And you saw it live. And you participated in that. Look, if it isn't for you guys, the Young Turks audience, I told you this. We couldn't have hired Jordan. I asked you, hey, can you guys help so we can hire a reporter? Okay, fine. Like the big guys look at that and go, they don't have billions of dollars. They need to ask their audience to help them get a reporter. And they snicker. Well, you got billions of dollars, CNN and MSNBC and all you guys. What are you doing with it? Where are your reporters? How come they never even bothered to show up? Yeah, we asked the audience. Yes, they gave us a reporter. Yes, we sent them to Standing Rock. And yes, maybe it helped to make a difference. And you did that. That's what drives them crazy. So if you want to keep that going, bless your heart, tytnetwork.com/go. That is a specific campaign to make sure that our coverage of Standing Rock does not end. Okay. Now, let me give you the rest of the story on what's happening now. So Joe and Darcy, the Army Corps of Engineers spokesperson or Assistant Secretary for Civil Works, says, although we have had continuing discussion and exchanges of new information with Standing Rock Sioux and Dakota Access, it's clear that there's more work to do. The best way to complete that work responsibly and expeditiously is to explore alternative routes for the pipeline crossing. Bang. There's your environmental impact statement. That takes a long time to conclude. Be very interested to see how the Trump administration handles that, because theoretically, if they care about rule of law, they can't just cancel that. Now, Standing Rock Tribal Chairman says the Standing Rock Sioux tribe and all of the Indian country will be forever grateful to the Obama administration for this historic decision. Now, I should have given the last person involved here more credit in the video that I did over the weekend. I'm going to do it now. So we asked and asked and asked President Obama to do something about this. And for a long time, he didn't. And until there was more attention, he was not moved to action. That's true and that's fair. And he said, we're going to let it play out and see how it goes. But now, credit where credit is due. When he had a chance to act, he did act. And he said, no, not on my watch. People say, oh, what difference does it make? It's only got a couple of months left and then Trump's going to come in. Well, whatever difference it's going to make, he's at least going to give it a chance. That's all we've ever asked of him. So thank you, President Obama. Much appreciated. It made a huge difference to those water protectors, to Standing Rock, and to everyone else involved. Yes, you can drive your leaders into action, but they've got to take that action, and he was bold enough to do it. Now, here is the National Congress of American Indians President Brian Kladuspy, and he says, my hands go up to all the water protectors who have stood up to protect tribal treaty rights and protect Mother Earth. Thank you for standing for Standing Rock. Now, of course, the Energy Transfer Partners who own all of this are not happy about it. And they say that President Obama's decision is, quote, purely political. No, actually, it's purely by the books that you have to do an environmental impact statement. But yeah, if you say, hey, there's politics involved and these meddlesome water protectors and protesters and all the other guys, they got people that care and then they took political action. Oh, okay. Well, that's how democracy is supposed to work. Now, are Energy Transfer Partners against political decisions that are purely political? No. In fact, they say they look forward to it. Quote, Jack Gerard, American Petroleum Institute president and CEO backing Energy Transfer Partners, says that they reject the Obama administration's shameful actions to deny this vital energy project, restore the rule of law in the regulatory process, and make this project's approval a top priority as he takes office in January. Let me translate that to you. We would like Donald Trump to take purely political action and actually not go by the rule of law and not do the environmental impact statement that you're supposed to do on every project like this, but make a purely political decision. Now, let me go back to quoting Energy Transfer Partners from the Huffington Post. They added that they remain, quote, fully committed to completing the pipeline without rerouting around Lake Oahe, because they were originally thinking of doing it around Bismarck, but there were too many white folks there. And so they're saying, no, we're not going to go do it by that white area. We still want to do it right through Indian land. And they say nothing this administration has done today changes that in any way. Now, they're putting up a brave front. And I told you right after President-elect Trump, it's frightening every time, got elected, the CEO of Energy Transfer Partners came out and said, you see that? I am now 100% certain that we're going to get things finished. And I thought, why the panic? Why do you have to come out and say that? It's because there are these contracts with some deadlines. That's why they were puffing up their chest, and they're doing it again today. Like, oh, there's nothing to worry about. We're definitely going to get it finished. Hey, our contractual partners, please don't invalidate the contracts. Methinks they doth protest too much. And then finally, Lillian Molina, a Greenpeace spokesperson, says the incoming Trump administration must respect today's decision and recognize the will of the people to stop this disastrous pipeline. The fight doesn't end today. And I want to end this segment on that note because I want you to understand that. Just because President Obama made this order does not mean that this fight is over. That's why TYT is going to stay out there and cover all the developments. That 2,000 veterans are still out there, and they're still considering what's next. And yes, the police have withdrawn from the bridge. In all the footage that we've shown you, they had that barricade from the bridge, but they have moved their barricade a little bit further down the road. So they haven't left. And right now they are still protecting the drilling pad. They still have not turned the cops around to make sure that the pipeline is not in violation of the law, a law very clearly stated by the Army Corps of Engineers. So this fight is not over. We don't know if those contracts are going to get invalidated or if they're going to get renewed. We don't know exactly how the Trump administration is going to handle the fact that they must do an environmental impact statement. Is Trump going to completely shred the law? It is entirely possible. So the fight is still out there, and we're going to cover it for as long as we can. If you want to help with that, tytnetwork.com/go. But help in any way you think makes sense. If you want to get out there and do activism yourself, fantastic. If you're one of the veterans out there with Wes and Mike Wood, fantastic. By the way, we've got more veterans that work at TYT that are also out there. Chris Huck from our Pittsburgh office. And then we've got Dennis Trader, who was part of the TYT network, and he's out there. Obviously, we've got Jordan out there. So we've got a big presence out there, and we want to keep that going. But everyone, help in every way that you can. And all of you who helped support the veterans and got them out there, thank you. This couldn't have happened without you. And so let's keep this fight going, because today was a great day, but there's still a lot of fight ahead of us.